Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Crate Expectations. Vacation mode. It's not even vacation; it's business trip mode. I'm on a business trip. I'm on business. I have business somewhere else, and so I have a new setup that lets me actually record a little bit. I think my mic quality is a lot better than my phone normally has. But I don't know what all to expect, frankly, from this recording. It's all actually going to be recorded from Sarah's side. Speaking of Sarah, she's my co-host. How are you today, Sarah?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Good enough. I'm in a hotel room.
On business, not vacation.
Is that any of your business?
No.
I know. Is it any of Hedwig's business?
Yes.
I feel like Hedwig is intimidating me, is interrogating me with his eyes.
Her.
Oh, is Hedwig a... Oh,
All right.
okay.
Moving on.
I don't know these things. All
Moving
right.
on.
So yeah, let's move on. So we're doing Crate a little earlier this time because of reasons. Like there wasn't anything new that came out or happened in the game. There's nothing momentous at all that we want to talk about. We just thought we'd hang out today.
Yeah, there's zero news. They did not release the State of the Galaxy.
Right. So, yeah. So obviously they did, and what a state of a galaxy it was. So before we get into like more, into the more details, in general, I feel like this was the biggest news dump that they've done, like for a year, for a long time. Like it almost annoys me because State of the Galaxies are supposed to be like, here's a couple of random things, and instead, and Road Ahead was supposed to be like, here's all the cool things, here's the roadmap for the next however many months, and like they just swapped them out. I feel like.
I wonder if they swapped him out because of the leak.
Was there a leak?
Well, when the Datacrons leaked, I wonder if they were just like, all right, we've got to handle this situation.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, the runs were ready though. Like, at least they seemed to be happy enough with. Like, they were finished product. Like, we could use them. There weren't a ton of bugs associated with them, really.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. This was a lot though. Like it's a ton to read. I think I've opened the post at least 5 times just to keep referencing it and looking back at things.
Yeah, there's a ton to unpack. There is so much. So today, folks, because of several things. First off, like I'm clearly in a hotel. I can't even see anything. Like I can't even look at the new stuff. Like I just have to use my own really spotty memory and Sarah's.
Shady reading skills.
Yeah, well, not shady reading. I mean, there is that the Canadian school system, etc. But there's there's also the just the fact that yeah, I'm gonna be relying on you to kind of push us through all these different topics. So we're not gonna be doing obviously no speed JC. We can't look at the packs, can't look at the rosters to roast. So it's gonna this is like Crate Expectations podcast style.
Right. Right. Exactly. So
Yeah,
it's news only.
news only, which is good. There's a lot. There's a lot going on.
There's so much. Okay. So I'm just going to say what it was in a nutshell in State of the Galaxy, like the main topics, and then I think you can just like pick and we can wing it.
That's what we're best at.
Okay, so
Very similar, not dissimilar to Hedwig.
aw, poor Hedwig. Okay,
Hedwig.
so you've got Black Chrysanthemum coming in as a marquee character, and for the bounty hunters. So that's like the first little bit, which I feel like people have been asking for him for so long, so that's pretty cool. Then you've got a new galactic legend was announced, Jabba the Hutt, which everyone has been waiting for, along with his first 5 prerequisites to get him unlocked, the first 5 characters you're going to need, or ships. And then Sorry?
Requirements.
Yeah. I was just reading, they used the word prerequisites for whatever reason, but requirements is probably better.
Same thing.
Same difference. Okay. They confirmed Profundity, which, like, everyone knew Profundity was coming, so they've confirmed that. They gave all of the requirements as well, and they did say that it is supposed to be a ship that is going to challenge the Executor. So I'm reading that as counter.
And can I just say, challenge is such a, like, I'm going to challenge their use of the word challenge.
I know. It's like, it's just such a vague term, because does that mean you're going to challenge it and, like, fail? Or you have, like, a 15% chance of winning? Or it's a hard counter? Like, what's the deal?
Right. I mean, anyone can challenge anyone, but, like, does that mean that it's actually a challenge?
Exactly. So, that's, like, the main stuff. And then the other stuff that they've also kind of dropped in there, they're tweaking some of the relic, how the relic materials are going to be used for the later relic levels, for Relic 8 and Relic 9. And then they're going to do a massive quality of life update to mods, which I guess is fine. It looks interesting.
It looks like they're trying to give us hot utils.
It does. It looks like they're trying to give us hot. That's how I looked at it, and it's just something that I'm like, but I have hot utils, so.
Right. Well, I mean, if I could get it without paying money, I just have to wonder, do they have a Bronzium opener?
Right. Do you have a loadout thing? Can I save loadouts, like, not character by character, but for my whole roster?
Right. I think hot utils is still very safe.
Absolutely. Okay. So that's pretty much everything that's in there. Oh, and Fulcrum got an Omicron today. Or tomorrow, whenever the update rolls out.
Yay for Territory War Omicron.
Yeah. Where would you like to start? Because it is a lot.
Okay, so let's talk about Jabba and Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, they do kind of go hand in hand.
I think so. Not that either of them have hands exactly.
Right. I mean, fair. So,
whatever.
Chrysanthemum is obviously going to be I shouldn't say obviously, but he is a requirement for Jabba the Hutt. So you need him at Relic 5. Very important to point out, and you mentioned this, and that it's important to point out, so we might as well just start. So he's a requirement, and it says that Chrysanthemum will be one of several upcoming marquees that directly support this new faction tag, and these marquee units will be requirements for Jabba the Hutt. So, I don't know about you, but when I hear the term several, I think, like, at least 4 or 5.
Got like 20 or something.
Yeah, 7.
What if they just, like, kept releasing them? There's like 20 person faction at the end.
Well, so my thought is we got the first 5 requirements. They usually, in the past for Galactic Legends, they've released them in sets of 3. So you get 5, and then whatever the last few characters are. So if we're getting 5 now, and one of them already has a marquee in it that we don't have in game, then the next couple sets are going to have marquees in them as well that we haven't had happen yet. Which I'm assuming we're going to have them happen as the sets are released. And we usually have a 2-week break in between sets being released. Give or take a couple of days.
Sets as in, like, requirements.
Yes.
Like they give that of this is required.
Yeah, so like today would be, this was the first set, and then roughly 2 weeks from the State of the Galaxy being released, you can expect the second set. At least that's how they've done it in the past for the other Galactic Legends. It's been about a 2-week buffer between the requirements being released. But it's just interesting because there's going to be a ton of marquees, sounds like, that will be needed. Like, I'm expecting at least 3 more characters on top of Chrysanthemum that would be needed.
I don't know, 3 that would be necessary. So, all right.
Just only because they said several.
No. Okay. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking that you're dumb or anything. Okay. So for just as an example, Bad Batch for Lord, like they require the original 4, like the the grown up clones, even though they're actually younger than Omega, but somehow. But Omega then was released, and she's very helpful for the squad. And stuff, depending on what your point of view and if you have pride on the line or not for saying she's awful. But she is very helpful for the squad, but she's not a requirement for Lord Vader. Right. So we could have a situation where, you're right, 3 or 4 new characters are released, and yes, maybe 3 of them or something are, including Black Chrysanthemum, are requirements. And then maybe the last one is just a nice addition.
Right, and just kind of boosts the squad up.
Right, or maybe even 2 of them. Maybe Chrysanthemum will be the only one, because frankly, I mean...
But it says...
Well, if we're looking at it from like a really long... Like, for when Jabba is released, like, how long is that going to be from now? Like a month and a half? 2 months?
See, I mean, usually it's a month and a half.
So Chrysanthemum is actually going to still be just in shipments. He won't even be farmable once the event is out. Like, he'll be farmable for crystals, but he won't be farmable for like in actual, on a node yet. And if there's further releases beyond him, well, they'll push us out even further. Like, it makes me think maybe these other characters will be important for the squad, but not requirements.
I'm only thinking they're required because it says these marquee units, plural, will be requirements.
It actually says, see, this is where I'm
yeah.
At this event. See it, so it actually says they will be requirements.
Yeah, so it says exact phrasing. Chrysanthemum will be one of several upcoming marquees that directly support this new faction tag, the new faction tag being Hutt Cartel. And these marquee units will be requirements for Jabba the Hutt, while working exceptionally well with Jabba as the leader. If you want to go after Jabba, you'll want these marquee characters powered up to relic levels. Not just for the requirements, but also for a powerful squad. So they keep pluralizing it, is my thought process here.
Yeah, so, I mean, and this is why I wanted to point this out too, is because I do think that regardless of if, I think you're right, if it says it, it says it. A lot of people are going to wonder what the farming strategy is going to be here, especially, if you're a spender, but you don't have unlimited funds like I am. I can't buy all the characters. Like, which ones do you get? Because we also have Profundity coming out, and that'll be soon. I expect that to be within 2 weeks. Yeah,
Profundity. I mean, we need Adrad to be farmable, right?
I think, well, maybe. I am under the impression that they're going to make it a Wales only thing this time.
You don't think that he'll be on, like, they'll make it so that he's put into the, like, onto a node that you can farm the same day that the event starts?
I mean, maybe. If they do that, though, you have to farm him quick, because the event's only going to be for 1 day. Well, at least that's Executor.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised, is my thought, if that's what they did.
Well, I mean, in that case, it's 3 weeks out, because Adrad just went into shipments recently. So, one way or another, that one's coming soon. But in terms of farming strategy, like, which characters do you soft whale on? Which ones do you, like, people are going to be tempted to go and just farm Chrysanthemum really fast. And the kit looks cool. It's a bounty hunter tank, which is something we've wanted forever.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like exciting to have another one. But the other piece of it is it's very possible, like you were reading just now, requirements multiple.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'll be the easiest to farm potentially. Like we might want to farm him just the old-fashioned way and light whale if you're going to spend money on a later character that won't be farmable for as long.
Right, like one that's released closer to the start date of the event.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Um, so his requirements though, we might as well just go over it. So you need Chrysanthemum at Relic 5, you need Han Solo at Relic 8. You need Gamorrean Guard at Relic 3, Greedo at Relic 6, and then Outrider has to be 7 stars.
Okay, so what do you think? Name one requirement. I didn't plan in advance. I'm curious. One requirement that you think we're going to have for Jabba. One more.
Mob Enforcer.
Okay, because Mob Enforcer is becoming part of the Hutt cartel.
Yeah. I would not be
Yep.
surprised at all. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
What do you think?
I think the next marquee is going to be Bib Fortuna, and he's going to at Relic 7. 7 is just an arbitrary number, but and then I think that Bib Fortuna within that faction is, because we're getting all these new characters. I think Bib Fortuna within that faction is going to be the other leader.
Oh.
I mean that's just speculation, like I say, but just fun to think about. But because he eventually does like pick up the pieces of Jabba's empire for a little bit.
Right. Okay.
Bib Fortuna being his major domo, folks, the guy who Luke Jedi mind tricks. He's a weak-minded fool. You should have like a rule that says whenever someone attempts daze, it always sticks to him, even if he's got tenacity up or something.
Like that, oh man. Like vulnerable. If you have vulnerable, you'll be critically hit.
Yeah.
He just needs
except with his
poor guy. I thought this was interesting because I think this highlights something about a potential like new content down the road and the lack of it. So it does say right away that you will find Jabba the Hutt to be useful in territory battles, and Hoth and Geonosia's territory battles will both be receiving an extra battle that requires Jabba, so he will have utility right out of the gate. So they're going to add an extra battle to both of them that have him as a hard requirement, and which first of all is interesting because they haven't added battles to territory battles before. So that tells me that we're not getting a new territory battle. They're just going to add a combat to, I'm assuming it will only be on the dark side ones.
So yeah, you're right. I mean, I joked on, I was just on the GAC Lab show for a little bit earlier tonight, and I joked that maybe they just use him as a ship. Big enough. Because honestly, like the only thing I feel like we really need right now, like say territory battle is an impossible distance away from getting max stars for any game. Like we would have to double our fleets. Every single person would have to isn't that right? Like something like that. Like they'd have to double the number of ships they currently have.
You need to have every player, I can't remember the exact number, but every single player in a guild of 50 has to have 6 million and something ship GP alone to max phase 4 ships.
Right. And what are you at? Or just out of, because you're close to max, close-ish.
Let's have a look. Yeah, I'm close-ish. My ship GP is 3.5 million.
And we need how much?
Over 6 per person. So yeah, doubled essentially.
Close to double for a lot of people, more than doubled.
Mm-hmm.
And that's 9 capital ships, and all of their fleets.
Yeah.
Like it's an impossible distance away. And so I was like, my initial thoughts, and it doesn't make any sense really if you really like take it down the full down the full line. But the idea is, uh, I was hoping that he would be on the ground in light side territory battles, and I know that doesn't make sense, but I was hoping. But then I was like, what if they made it so that whatever he contributes on the ground, whatever you get, go like contribute somehow to the air to ships. So everyone, you know, like that's just one more way to get a few more ship GP, you know, added on to something.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, but that was my initial thought, because I don't need anything for dark side territory battles. Like,
No.
I don't know what, like, the incentive is almost nothing. So, I mean, I guess whatever character they're going to have for light side might move the needle.
It is interesting, though, that they also say in the road ahead, like the next road ahead that they'll post, they will share more information about Jabba the Hutt's other utility locations. So they're going to put him elsewhere to be used in the game.
Well, so it's a little concerning to me, actually, if they think that he needs added value.
Yeah.
So they release him, they're like, guys, I mean, it's almost like Grand Inquisitor. I was listening to your guys' UTH podcast where Pico was talking about how much he hates the Grand Inquisitor now because he super invested in him, and he is so disappointed, so utterly disappointed. And I'm tempted to feel similarly. I'm going to wait a little longer, I think. But I mean, I don't think he's being unreasonable. He invested a ton, and it's disappointing. But the thing about it is, and I thought he made a great point, was he's eventually going to get a ton of value out of having Grand Inquisitor early, just in the sense that he's getting all the assault battles. You know, the income from that over the course of 12 months, he's going to recoup at least some of his expenditure. Not, you know, he said all of his relic mats and stuff, and I think that that's about the way to look at it, because all the gear, all the Chirotech and stuff, I don't think you're going to recoup that. And you know, the 2,500, you know, requirements. 2,500 Cairo requirements and stuff, but here's the like, and then they keep giving us galactic challenges that have Grand Inquisitors in them, and it's like they really want people to recoup their losses. Like, you hurried up and farmed Grand Inquisitor for what? So you can do galactic challenges.
Well,
like they want us to feel like it wasn't a total waste.
Yeah. Oh man, and I mean, in that sense too, like, Pico's such a level-headed person that when he sees it poorly, I'm like, okay, this is actually a level-headed response, and he's not blowing it out of proportion for the sake of blowing it out.
Yeah, he presented it very well. He was very he was reasonable, which I'm like, well, thank God for reasonable people. I love it. I love it. So, you know, he didn't come across at all as reactionary. Like, he had a reaction, but it, you know, was measured. So it just makes me worried if they're like, don't worry guys, you're gonna get extra value out of this character. I'm like, why, does he suck?
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, because I thought it was weird that they were adding a battle specifically for him. But now that I'm reading this line as well, that they're also going to put him in other locations, it's like, well, why?
Yeah, like, he needs extra value. Like, what value does Rey have?
Right.
Other than killing things in GAC and territory wars. I mean, she does okay in territory battles, but presumably so would Jabba do fine, you know, as a galactic legend with, you know, like, you'd think he'd do fine on the waves and stuff. Like, why does he need his own node? Probably just to keep it so that people can't just easy mode it, just, you know, hit auto for every single wave in, you know, in wave 4 or whatever, phase 4. But I don't know, the fact that they're already like, don't worry, you're gonna get extra value. I'm like, we don't even know why we need extra value yet. Like, we all assumed the Grand Inquisitor was gonna be pretty dang good, and then he wasn't, and to various degrees of consternation. But like, he wasn't really what we wanted or needed. And
well,
are they really that worried about Jabba?
Well, all of this news today just makes me want to put my Inquisitors aside.
Well, I think you should. I
Like,
mean, I think, and that's something we should absolutely talk about is farming strategies of
um,
what is.
okay. So, the only other thing that I wanted to mention about Jabba as well is that he is the first Galactic Legend that we are getting that does not have the counterpart. So, we've had like Rey and Kylo and Luke and Zombie Palps and then Vader and Kenobi. Like, we've had all of these pairings, whether or not they were released at the same time or separately or whatever. But he does not have a counterpart.
Well, neither did Kenobi when he was announced.
No. Kenobi had. They did say he would have a count. That they were doing the release for Kenobi and Vader differently, where instead of releasing them at the same time, they would be released separately. They would still be each other's. Go ahead.
Go ahead. But we have this thing, guys, where if I say something but she's talking, it just cuts me off entirely. So she's trying to be very thoughtful of that, and I appreciate it. But no, please go ahead.
They did say that the counterpart would be released separately. They didn't say it was Vader, but they said the counterpart would be released. They were trying something new and not releasing them at the same time.
Okay. I see what you're saying, and see, I was like, well, we didn't know who the counterpart was, but that wasn't your argument. It's just, yeah, okay. So yeah, we don't know, and they have actually recently said, someone told me about an interview that I hadn't watched, like on Heinze or something, that they was it on it was somewhere, the CG had said, and this is a credible source, the CG had said that they might not release a pair of GLs next time, it might just be one.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't know that they had said that.
Well, and this is something I just heard a couple days ago, but it was, CG has had a couple times that they've gifted a content creator, an interview, and I just can't watch all of them. I'm not always available, and then I don't always watch it in retrospect, which I probably should. But yeah, so this could be our only one. I mean, I expect that we'll get another one pretty soon after. Like, it took them a while. Kenobi was released, and then we had months until Vader was released or announced even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did take a while. So even this announcement between Vader and Jabba is a while. So, okay, we have like 2 minutes. Okay. Do you have any other thoughts about Jabba?
So let me ask you this: do you think he is Galactic Legend material? Our friend Solo Base, my co-host on the other podcast, hates the idea. He doesn't think that he's actually Galactic Legend material, that he wasn't powerful enough or famous enough or influential enough to actually be a legend galaxy-wide.
So the only reason why I will say yes, and whether or not he's powerful enough or whatever is a different topic. I was a very, very late bloomer with Star Wars, and even when I had not watched Star Wars or knew anything about it, I knew of Jabba the Hutt. Like, I knew who he was, even without seeing any of the movies. So, I feel like if I know who the character is, like, and he's not a main character in my opinion, like, he's a pretty predominant secondary character, but I wouldn't classify him as like a main character. Yeah, I feel like if that's the case, and obviously they're well known enough to have some type of legendary status.
Yeah, I think in universe maybe he has a point, but on the other hand, I mean, Lord Vader had, like, no one knew who Lord Vader was, like, even once he got his robot suit and stuff. For a long time, people had no idea. They were just like, oh yeah, some like Robo Guardian for Palps. Like, he didn't have an official capacity with the Empire for a long time. So, I mean, I'm fine with Jabba. Just like you said, he's an easy to recognize character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, guys, go see. We're gonna continue this conversation over on Sarah's channel. We'll see you in a little.